Hello, one and all. This is a Christmas story. It was a normal day in the Anare household. Not a person was making noise, not a sound in the house. It was a very nice Christmas evening. Holidays were coming soon, and joy was in the air for all. It was a time of celebration, a time of happiness, a time of peace, a time to get together and talk about all the things that you enjoy, with no disruption or sound at all.
Ow.
All that was left was one video game reviewer with terrible bandwidth and one game to be reviewed on this holiday.
So anyways, about that thing.
Holy shit, you're awake.
I'm awake? As in I was asleep?
I've been asleep for 3 months.
3 months? It's December? When did I even get a computer? Who in this house would have even bought YouTuber equipment?
Oh, YouTube!
What?
Hi.
Oh great, now he's here. Anyways, why are you here?
You won the Christmas special, but since you were too lazy to do another review, you have no established characters, so you got your YouTuber friends instead.
Oh.
Our story begins with a young dog in the year 2008 who made a Halloween hack of the popular Super Nintendo game Earthbound. This hack could be best described as the hack itself was objectively pretty unremarkable and brushed aside, albeit with some quality music. A few short years later, on an Earthbound hacking forum, where Toby posted screenshots of a new untitled project, Underbound 2, a sequel to an already existing hack called Underbound. But the name and the plot pitch didn't seem to stand out, rather the mechanics on display, with new mechanics very alien to this style of audience, which definitely caused a few eyebrows to be raised. Not long after, we'd see what Toby was on about, as Undertale made its debut onto Kickstarter in June of 2013. Not long after it was posted, its goal was smashed through with flying colors. 2 years later, Undertale released in 2015 on PC, then in the preceding years made its way onto PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox One. Undertale was a smash hit, combining mechanics old and new, bringing in a fresh take on the RPG genre. Having the ability to spare and learn the personalities of monsters and having the fate of them in your hands was such an inventive idea that set the internet gaming sphere ablaze. The community around it made parodies, fan art, and many other passion projects for years, keeping the game and community alive. Undertale did so well, which begged the question, could it ever be topped? Toby would answer that question in 2018 as people logged on to the Twitter account for Undertale and were met with a lot of cryptic messages. All the questions were answered on Halloween Day of 2018 as Deltarune. Chapter 1 was released. The game begins with you making your own character. I named mine Splamps. But regardless of your creative vision, whatever your original character Do Not Steal is, it's discarded in favor of Chris, the latest silent protagonist with the fashion sense of an Earthbound protagonist and the color scheme of a Sonic employee. Your mom tells you to get off your ass and go to school. You arrive and talk to your classmates before Susie barges in. You get assigned to work with her on the class project, but you're forced to go retrieve chalk with Barney before she bullies you. You enter the closet, but the floor Control-Alt deletes itself, sending you to the dark world. Once you get down, you're shot at by a shadowy figure before you get away and reconvene with Susie. The two of you head forward and are met by a person in a hood. They give you the whole spiel of the plot before getting interrupted by the person who shot at us just before, Lancer. One tutorial boss fight later, and we are greeted to a floofy goat wizard named Ralzai.
Do not insult the floofy boy.
How did you get hacked in?
Yeah, so I sort of lost my remote, but I ended up finding another one, and it ended up taking me here for some odd reason, and it turned out the bandwidth's pretty trash, so you're only getting audio right now. Sorry about that.
Sick. After the second tutorial and another encounter with Lancer, Susie rejoins. With some expert level puzzle solving, we make it to the checkerboard area, and then we are met with our first mini-boss, which is a fun fight in my opinion, but if you know what to do, is fairly easy. Susie ditches the team to go plot with Lancer, and after traveling through some beautiful 16-bit areas, we meet back up with them. Then they made me make a machine thing, so I made a duck tank. I mean, hey, I think it's funny. I mean, imagine a duck being an antagonistic force. What? I got sent into a coma for 3 months. My mom's a YouTubing sensation, all of my friends have hacked me, and now I'm being threatened by a rubber duck. To say it's been a long day would be an understatement.
Ooh, presents! Like Christmas!
Don't encourage him. We have a 2v2 battle with them after rounds of talking ends with them coming to their senses and joining the party. We make our way to the castle, but Lancer seems to be hiding something. We eventually make it, but get captured at the front door. Susie is able to make it out and comes to contact with Lancer. After both beating him up and done some convincing, they go up to free Ralzai and Chris. They go up to the elevator of the castle and are met with the absolute best character in the game. After some exploration and puzzle solving, we make it to the second mini-boss, which is similar to the first, but both are fairly enjoyable in my opinion. But these two differ in giving you a different strategy and the way to solve them. After we finish that, we really quickly make it straight to the king. We fight him and we tire him out, but as he's tired out, Ralzai foolishly goes over and heals him. Within seconds of getting healed, the king returns heal and just claps the entire party. Susie tries to help, but in the end it's all in vain. As things look grim in the final seconds, Lancer and Co come in for the hot tag and save the day. We say our final goodbyes, and Ralzai unhats themselves before we go and seal the fountain. We head back home and oh no. The controls in this game are honestly pretty top-notch, and I quite enjoy them. It's a story of two sides. As on the overworld, you move around with the analog stick or dialogue. If you want to speed up, you use the circle button. You go through text with the X button, and if you want to skip the text, you hold down triangle. While in a fight, you use these commands based off what you want to do. If you want to fight, you press X on the fight command and a line will go through. If you time it right, you'll do the extra damage. If you want to act and go the pacifist route, then you go with the corresponding act that goes with the corresponding enemy until that inevitably works. You can also use magic spells with Ralzai. You can defend to gain TP, and while you're on the defensive, you dodge the attacks of your opponent. The graphics are absolutely another home run in this department in my personal opinion. Despite being a 16-bit game, environments and graphics of this game are absolutely stunning to say the least. They have multiple different visual styles that stand out from one another, and they all look phenomenal for being a 16-bit game. And speaking of categories where Toby and the team just absolutely knocked it out of the park. Now normally at the soundtrack section I would point out a couple of standout songs that I thought were exceptionally good, but at the risk of sounding like a cop-out, the soundtrack top to bottom is so phenomenal that I really recommend the whole thing. There's a couple of songs that don't hit as hard as the others, but this whole soundtrack is very well worth your time. It's only roughly an hour long if you give it a full listen, and I can't recommend it enough. Please sit down and give this a try. While this isn't necessarily post-game, most people go after this post-game, so I'm putting this here. There's a secret boss in Chapter 1 called Juggle. Throughout the world in Chapter 1 you need to find 3 pieces of keys. 2 are hidden around the area and one of them you get from talking to Scene. This unlocks the secret boss Juggle, who comes with PTSD in tow. Once you beat him, you unlock either a sword or a defensive item depending on either going genocide or pacifist. With that all being said, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me on this episode. Quite frankly, Deltarune is a great game and well worth your time. Now, we only really covered Chapter 1 here, and we will be getting to Chapter 2 soon, as well as many other projects in the next year. So I thank every single one of you for checking out my content in the year 2021, and let's move forward to an awesome 2022. See you guys.